welcome to another video with the
Rod Talk.
Rod Talk.
The wholesale boss.
The wholesale boss.
Yes, sir.
And welcome to breakfast. Today, we're having breakfast and we're going to answer the top 5 Google questions about relationships.
Ooh.
Are you excited for this?
I'm so excited. I have no clue what they are. I didn't have any time to prepare.
Well, you're here now. That's good enough. So.
But I've had enough time to prepare for my relationship.
For breakfast? For your relationship?
Yeah.
Oh yeah? With whom? With me?
With you.
You had enough time to prepare for that?
No, I don't think you ever have enough time to prepare for that.
No?
No.
Did it just hit you out of the blue?
Yeah.
It did, right?
What hit me?
The relationship. Wait, what are we talking about now?
Well, the first question was, did I have enough time to prepare for the relationship?
And the answer is no, right?
The answer is, I don't think I could ever
be prepared for what came.
Be prepared for what was upon me.
Okay, well, this wasn't a Google question,
but you guys will be more prepared after you watch this video, okay?
Oh, for sure. Or
don't be like me.
At least you don't have to Google the following 5 questions anymore because we answered them for you. Let me read the first question to you guys. I think these are the top Google questions from 2021. I couldn't find them from 2022, but here we go. For first question, it's already gonna be a loaded question. When is a relationship over? 2,900 people search for this every week. By the way, I don't know if this is US based or if it's international, but we'll just leave it at the top 5 Google questions.
Okay, got it. I think you're a first go here.
Okay, so
Mrs. Adams.
When is a relationship over? Like, we have to see from what perspective. Like, when you feel like it's over or when it's actually you ended, like when is it over? I think it's when you, for women, and I read that somewhere and like from my own experience, women check out of a relationship mentally before they leave physically. It's like you'll notice you just don't care anymore. You just become like indifferent about things, like things that used to stress you, you know, like when you get mad in a relationship, sometimes it thinks it's because you care. So it's a good sign if you're having like arguments. If you don't care anymore, you just don't care. You don't have arguments, like nothing matters anymore. So I think for women, when you feel like there's nothing inside of you anymore, it's just like dull, then that's a big sign that the relationship is over.
I would say there's different pillars that you'd have to assess in the relationship. The first one would be trust. Then you have like friendship and bond of like just being together, and then intimacy. Let's just leave it at those 3. I say when all 3 of them reach like a threshold that are like too low for your standards. Let's say trust, right? 1 to 10. Where are you at in the amount of trust you have for that person? If all of them reach a threshold that is just too low for you, like they're all like 2s, 1s, like trust is a 2, friendship is a 1, and then intimacy is like it's non-existent, then I think you have to like seriously consider like, okay, am I with this person because I'm just afraid of being alone and they're like here? Or is this a person that I am committed to, you know, working through all of this? But then if you are committed to working through with them, then the friendship part would probably be really strong. Maybe the trust is not there for whatever reason, but you have that camaraderie with that other person that you are willing to fight. So that's why I think if friendship is high and you really like each other and bond on simple things, but intimacy isn't and trust isn't for whatever reason yet, then I think you have a strong chance of like being able to work on that relationship. So I think if those 3 barometers are really low, like if you don't connect with them intimately, you don't trust them, and if you don't have that friendship bond, then I think it's time to move on.
And I think important to add to this is that if you don't feel like this could ever change anymore or again. So if you feel like, let's say trust is low and you don't see it ever changing again, and you see friendship, intimacy, you just don't see that this could ever get better. You know, like sometimes maybe life, you know, puts you through challenges where your trust barometer gets low and you feel, you know, you don't feel like there's trust with that person, and maybe you fight a lot. But if you feel like, you know, that's just a phase you can work through and that there is a future that is like brighter ahead, then it's also different. When you just resent and you're like scared to leave only because, you know, you don't know what's coming, like you like the familiar, then I think, like you mentioned, it's time to part ways. Okay, question number 2. Is jealousy healthy in a relationship?
Absolutely. I think it's definitely healthy to a certain extent.
Yeah, I
like
agree.
I mean, you don't want somebody to be so overly jealous that they don't let you have a life. It depends where that degree is. Like if somebody's too jealous, then it's not healthy, right? Because then it's like you don't trust that the other person's gonna do the right thing. But a small degree of it is very healthy, and you would want people to, be jealous. That means that they care about you. So an example, if you're fresh into a new relationship, a lot of times you might still have habits from when you were single of being more flirty,
And who are you, my Rubenesque beauty?
It's just like a different energy, right? You have to shift the energies. It's one energy when you're single, and it's another energy when you're with somebody. So if you are flirty and the person you're with doesn't care that you're flirty, then they might not really care that much about you. Now they care if it's too much and too suffocating for your degree of comfort. You might want to take a look at that. And also, I think certain people can deal with levels of jealousy better. You want to learn your attachment styles. There's 3 types from this book, Attached. There's like needy, there's a stable, and then there's the aloof type of people.
There's avoidant, anxious, and secure attachment.
Oh, yes.
And there's degrees to this. I agree with you. Like jealousy shows that the other person cares. Let's say I go out with a couple guys tonight, and he's like, okay, see ya. Then I mean that just means that he doesn't care at all, like what I'm doing and who I'm going with. So I think it's definitely healthy to have a certain degree and to communicate about it. Like also to say, hey, I don't feel comfortable.
I think that's big for guys a lot of times, that you might feel jealous, and because you're a guy and like, you shouldn't feel anything but good. It's like you just stuff it in and you don't talk about it, whereas with girls are more open. But I think it's so necessary to talk about how you feel in these situations. Like, hey, look, like this makes me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I just want to talk to you about it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like you're not aware of it until the other person tells you, and then honestly, like if it's a reasonable request, I'd always rather forego on the situation and like put myself into a situation that makes them uncomfortable. I mean, that varies from person to person, but I think, as long as you talk about it, you can clear the space and see eye to eye on it. Third question. This is a good question. How does a relationship work?
Okay, so we need a couple
more breakfasts for this.
I mean, we need a couple more breakfasts. We would need a whole year of just breakfast, lunch, and dinner to talk about how a relationship operates. Like, it's so intricate.
Yeah.
There's so much to a relationship.
Well, I would say how a relationship works, trying to explain it from one side, is first of all, you get together based on a common vision and common interest and move towards a common goal, right? Like a relationship means, I feel like you decide to be a team in life that you share the same vision of, like you want to head in the same direction, and then that is navigated through communication, care, love, and nurture. I don't know, trying to encapsulate how a relationship works is you want to be considerate with the other person, you have somebody else in your life. Like, I think the best way to kind of imagine is like you're a team, right? And like in a soccer team, like you both have your roles, you both play together in that, and it's important that you got each other's back, because it's like you against everybody else, so to speak, right? So
wow, that was so beautiful. I don't think I could top that.
You like my explanation?
This is great.
Yeah,
it's great. It's like,
do you agree with that?
Let me just second it then. I mean, working towards a common goal of life, I mean, that's critical, right? You have to have the same vision, because you are in relationship with that person.
Yeah.
And time is moving, so you're going somewhere. You have to make sure that it's aligned, the direction of where that movement is.
Yeah.
So you can make something like long. How do you? Sustainable. So you can make something sustainable, and you has to have that same vision. And as you're in time going through to that place, being happy in it and being able to coexist with the other person in so many different dynamics of life, like with family, alone, with friends,
together. Out there's so many facets to it, and I think the most important thing is that you like each other. You always keep that friendship and intimacy going, and it's beautiful because you can grow together. You can grow together.
You have to grow together
faster than you could grow by yourself.
100%, because you always have that person there
as a reflection,
and to communicate your ideas with.
Yeah,
like to see if the ideas you have are great or complete trash. And it's okay to have trash ideas sometimes that you can communicate with somebody, or bad jokes sometimes, which I rarely do.
No, never.
I mean, all my jokes are genius.
Yeah, complete.
Sometimes Olivia just doesn't understand the genius of it because it's so complex and it's such a good joke that it takes her a couple years to. Sometimes she's like, I remember that joke you told me like a year ago. I just got it. So genius.
Thank
Beyond
you
my
for
time.
blessing me
Beyond my
with that
time.
joke. And number 4, why does a relationship fail? That's a great question. That's a good question.
Amazing question.
Yeah.
So, when you don't make the other person's needs your priority.
Ooh, that's good.
Wow.
That's great.
Wow.
It is. If there's so many facets there, right?
Like, look, if I need beer and Olivia doesn't have beer for me within an hour and a half, some shit's gonna go down in the household.
You don't want to know what. It's a small household with big problems. Okay,
No.
that's all I can say about this.
Big problem.
I think having the other person always on the top of your mind is very important. And if there's an imbalance in the relationship through inconsideration, like for example, when there's never beer, even though he asked me 3 times.
Flip the switch.
I think that's.
That ain't happening. It ain't not happening.
No, but on a serious note, there's so many reasons why.
Well, that is a serious note. What do you mean on a serious note?
Why a relationship could fail, and I think being egotistical in a relationship. If one person, like, if you do. I feel like in a relationship, both people have to give 100% all the time.
Yeah.
And if you just take, and you don't reciprocate, love and care, it's draining the other person. And I mean, there's so many other reasons, right? If you're emotionally abused or if physically abused, right? But these are extreme. I feel like these are extreme cases. You're in a relationship when you're not seeing eye to eye, when both of your consciousness levels aren't aligning, and the other person is not willing to grow, and you want to move forward. Like, you just can't be with a person like that.
But I love what you're saying. Like, the most important thing is when you don't give to the other person. Like, when there's like a disproportionate amount of giving from one partner to the other. Yeah. Like, one partner is the one that always cares about everything, and then the other one just receives like whatever is there, and then doesn't. Like, for me, I know that was a big deal. Like, it was hard for me to even make Livia a cup of coffee, just because I had a default that was more of a taker in that sense. And then through a lot of self-work and like doing training programs and being with other people that had the right concept and philosophy in relationships, I started realizing that, oh wow, it's not always about putting me first, but it's about putting that other person first. Like, if you have a dog, you understand that like this
being right there,
this being that is floating around here, that it's not about you. Sometimes, like, you might be sleepy, but if you got to wake up and go take them out, you have to do that. That's it. That's the same thing in a relationship. Sometimes you just have to do things for the greater good of the other person and put your needs second. That's very important.
Yeah. So thank you.
I know you love that. Of course you love that.
You're great, babe. Well, it's true. It's and I feel like women tend to be. It varies, right? But women are more like nurturing. So I see that it could be the concept that women usually give more. But I think it's very important, to, and also you'll see when you give is so fulfilling, and people actually are
so fulfilling.
People are actually happier giving.
So much happier. Incredible happy.
No, but it's serious. On a serious note now.
No,
like,
seriously,
there is a study that when people give, like, it was done with people doing a good deed every day, that their overall happiness increased because giving is fulfilling. So especially in a relationship with your partner, you love this person. That I would hope.
You love them so much. How much I love Livia.
Babe, are you taking me serious?
I'm taking you serious. I always take you serious.
Well, relationships fail is because the other person not taking the other person serious.
Oh, really? Babe, I take you serious 97% of the time.
Okay, that's good enough. So let's move on to the last question. Are relationship doubts normal? I think what is meant is like doubting that the other person is the right fit. Well, here's the thing. I think it depends. Now, in the beginning, you could maybe ask yourself, is this really the right person when you don't know each other to the fullest extent, if you haven't like grown together that much yet, if you know, there's so many things not said yet between. I think it's normal to wonder sometimes. Now, if that appears later in life when you've already been together and you know it's not triggered by an event, it's just like creeping in, I think like it could mean that something has been off in the relationship for a long time, and that you start to realize it slowly.
I think like the root of relationship doubts, I think go back to how your parents operated in a relationship. So I think like if you had parents that, let's say, divorced or had multiple partners or cheated on each other or had trust issues, I think that it's something that you're gonna live with more than somebody that had a family that was healthy, that the mom and dad were always there, and that, you know, they've been together for 50 years, because you just have a different concept of what a relationship is. So sometimes you could think that, oh, you know, my mom made a mistake at, you know, and she realized that at 40, am I making a mistake? Whereas somebody that had a more stable and has a background of stability would be more connected with the fact that, oh, I just worked through it, things are good. That doesn't even come up in their space. So yeah, so a big thing, seeing what your background has been in
your culture too.
And your culture too.
I think
that's
like
huge.
We see it being Latin American and like European. There's a huge difference in how relationship in particular are perceived in the culture. I feel like in South America, cheating is so prevalent. You hear it in the songs, you hear it in the dynamics of people. It's just like cheating is so normal. It's almost like necessary. It feels like, or else life is not exciting. I don't know. Whereas in Europe, it's more you get together and you stay together, not because you have to, but because you know you work through things. I feel like that's like, am I saying that right?
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think culture too. Like, what is your culture teaching you? Is it teaching you like longevity of a relationship? Is it teaching you like teamwork?
Yeah. What are your? I would say that's the biggest thing. You want to ask yourself, what are your belief systems around a relationship? Because based on the belief systems you have,
you can
it's
predict
like
what's going
the questions that come up for you. Yeah, like if you have a belief systems that like, oh, relationships are a little unstable, then that's going to come up for you often, consistently. So you want to take an analysis of like, what do I believe about relationships? And you can extend that to friends, to family, to all that. Like, do I believe that I'm worthy of finding somebody that is there long term? So yeah, a lot of self-work on this, guys.
Well, these are the 5 most Googled questions, I think, of 2021. And I think still relevant today.
So we're thinking about hosting a podcast where we record these talks and put it in podcast form, so we can have
more
you guys
content for you
and people listen to
what we have to say.
Rod's and Liv's relationships advice. Relationships.
Yeah, let us know in the comments down below if that is something you'd be interested in. Also, let me know in the comments down below what question you'd like to have answered, because we're looking to do this more on a regular basis. So let me know what you are dying to know, to hear from us.
But only if you're dying to know it.
Only if it's really urgent.
Right, yeah. We want you to let us know, like, hey, look, I really need this question answered.
Like, seriously fast. And then we'll go in the comment section and choose some of your questions to answer.
Awesome, guys. Awesome. What?
Why are you cutting me off, babe?
No, I'm not cutting you off. I was just
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate the support. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I see you in the next one.